Year 417 of imprisonment, day 89. She had long since stopped counting the hours. Time meant nothing beneath the mountain. No sunrise, no sunset. Only the endless sound of water dripping from the stone ceiling and the cold bite of iron wrapped around her wrists and ankles. If she closed her eyes, she could almost remember the wind, the scent of rain, the silver reflection of the moon dancing across a quiet lake. Those memories were all she had left. Everything else had faded centuries ago. Except that day. The day she chose strangers over her own blood. The day her family called her a traitor. The day the kingdom decided she deserved an eternity in chains. She still remembered being dragged through the crowded streets. People threw dirt. Some spat at her feet. Others screamed insults. Witch, betrayer, monster. She ignored every one of them. Her head remained high. At the center of the square sat the king upon his golden throne. Beside him stood the high priestess, holding an ancient scroll. "You stand accused of betraying your family, your people, and your crown," the priestess declared. "Do you deny these crimes?" The witch smiled. "I deny nothing." "And do you regret your choice?" "Not for a single heartbeat." The crowd erupted in anger. The priestess raised her hand for silence before reading the final decree. Only one path remains. When light touches the forgotten place, and a starving soul accepts bread from your hands, your chains shall break. Those were the last words she heard before darkness swallowed her whole. More than 4 centuries had passed since that sentence. She remained imprisoned beneath an ancient mountain. Iron chains drained every drop of her magic. A loaf of stale bread rested forever on a stone altar just beyond her reach. Every day she reached for it. Every day she failed. Whoever had designed her prison had been cruel enough to leave freedom inches away, but impossible to grasp. Hope became her only companion. Every distant sound made her wonder if someone had finally found this forgotten place. Every silence reminded her no one ever did. Sometimes she laughed, sometimes she cried. Most days, she simply waited. One night, thunder rolled across the mountain. The cave trembled. For the first time in centuries, a beam of moonlight pierced through a crack in the ceiling. It illuminated the entrance. Moments later, something stumbled into the light. A young man. His clothes were torn. Large silver wings hung behind his back, stained with blood. He collapsed onto one knee, barely able to breathe. "Please," his voice cracked. "I need help." The witch's heart raced. The prophecy. She forced herself closer, chains scraping loudly across the stone floor. "What do you seek?" she asked. The stranger looked up weakly. "Food, anything. I haven't eaten in days." She glanced toward the stale loaf resting on the altar. The bread had become harder than stone, covered in mold. Yet it was the only thing inside the prison. "There," she whispered. "I can't reach it. Can you?" The winged traveler tried to stand. His legs gave out immediately. He crashed back onto the cave floor. The witch sighed. So close. She wrapped both hands around her chains and pulled with every ounce of strength she had left. Nothing. Again. Nothing. Again. The ancient iron groaned. One shackle cracked, then another. Years of imprisoned magic pushed against the cursed metal. Finally, crack. Several chains snapped apart. She lunged forward and grabbed the loaf before it slipped away again. Slowly, she carried it to the exhausted traveler. She placed the bread into his trembling hands. "Take it," she whispered. "I offer this freely." The stranger smiled weakly. "Thank you." He took one bite. The instant the bread touched his lips, the entire cave shook. Red lightning exploded through every chain surrounding the witch. Ancient runes carved into the iron burst apart, one after another. Boom. The final shackle shattered. For the first time in 400 years, she stood. Her body trembled as forgotten power rushed back into her veins. Scarlet flames danced across her fingertips. The mountain itself seemed to tremble before her. The travelers stared in stunned silence. "Who are you?" The witch slowly lifted her head. A calm smile spread across her face. "My name." She raised one hand. The cave walls cracked. Stone floated into the air. "Is Aloysia. And this world has enjoyed peace for far too long." Outside, the storm finally stopped, but somewhere in the darkness, something much worse had just awakened.